What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. Nikki, what's up, man? How we feeling today?
Doing great. How y'all doing?
Doing quite well. Actually, we ended up spending almost the entire first hour talking about Shedeur Sanders, and I know. And here's where it's weird. Yesterday we talked about it. I didn't pay it much mind. I'm kind of like, I don't think it's going to happen. Saints haven't showed a lot of interest, but there does seem to be, at least from outside voices, increasing projections. Right, whether it's Schefter, Kuiper, whoever, there seems to be a lot of Shedeur being mocked to the Saints at 9. How do I want to frame this question? It appears that these Saints are doing their homework on quarterback without a doubt. They keep working out guys, hosting guys. It doesn't appear like they've done a lot with Shedeur Sanders. Is this because they don't want people to think that he's interested so nobody trades up? Or do you believe that the New Orleans Saints are truly not interested in Shedeur Sanders?
Well, boy, that hasn't worked if that's the case, huh?
I know, right? Yes. To be fair, yes. Like if they've been trying to say no, all of a sudden everybody thinks they are.
Yeah, I mean, look, this time of year everybody has their own information, and who am I to say that somebody else has bad information and I have good information, or I might be the guy sitting on bad information. So. I feel like from my point of view, I feel like a lot of people pointing to him coming here is people from around the league connecting dots and saying, who needs a quarterback? And now that the Giants are apparently out on him and Cleveland's apparently out on him, well, where do you go? I mean, it's the team with the lame duck quarterback who kind of I don't want to say publicly, but privately but loudly let it be known that he wanted out of this situation. So then that's where you go. And from my point of view, I think that's what's happening. I think when we did the show on the Tuesday morning of the Combine, I told you guys I would be surprised if the Saints drafted Shedeur Sanders. As we sit here today, what's today, the 6th? I have no idea. 10 days before the draft or whatever it is, I will continue to say that I would be surprised if they draft him with the 9th pick. Maybe later in the first, maybe at 40. Sure, with the 9th pick, I would be extremely surprised. And so I might hear something over the next 2 weeks that changes my mind on that point of view. But every year, since 2018, I write one story before the draft, and over the last 7 drafts, I've been able to publish it every single time but one. And right now I have no intention of writing a story about Shedeur Sanders.
Well, that's what we were talking about. This has nothing to do, for me at least, for Sanders as a player and like him being worthy of the 9th overall pick. Nick, this is for me the Saints right now with where they're at with Derek Carr, the contract situation, and what they need at number 9. That's why it didn't make sense to me, because you can go get a true difference maker at 9. And if you do want a quarterback, there's going to be options at 40 that aren't that much different at least my breakdown, than Shedeur Sanders, that if you took him at 9 and Quinn Ewers and say Jackson Dart fell to 40 or Tyler Shuck from Louisville. So
Shuck.
I thought he was great at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
If Shuck wasn't going to be 30 at the end of his rookie contract, he'd be my favorite. Why not? Like, if you just watch the tape, man, he can play football, man. He's got an arm, he can run, he's big, he's physical. He just, he was a professional college student for a long time, but he's a really good player. But look, I agree with you, and I've been reluctant to talk about Shedeur because I like him as a player. I just don't like him at 9, and I think that's okay. I don't want to be the guy like screaming against the quarterback or the pick. And generally speaking, if you take him at 9, I see a scenario where he could end up being a very, very good NFL quarterback. But as I look at him right now, I just, he's a little bit shorter. There's not a lot of juice in the leg. He doesn't have an elite arm. I feel like in a different class. You aren't even considering him here. And the other thing that kind of scares me a little bit about him, and again, this is probably a BS way to evaluate it, but if we're talking about Cleveland passing on him and the Giants passing on him, and then if the Saints pass on him, we're looking at 21. Like that's like like the whole league isn't going to be clamoring to move up to get the number 2 quarterback in the draft if he gets out of the top 10. Like that's the scenarios. Like I was listening to Schefter's podcast yesterday, and that was like the scenario. It's like, isn't that a little bit telling that that's the conversation around him? Like what other time the second quarterback would the Browns pass on him? Would the Giants pass on him with Russell Wilson and who's Cleveland's plan at quarter? Kenny Pickett?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Browns are I think they're having a crisis of confidence when it comes to that position. I think they're terrified of trying to pick a quarterback. But your point is a good one. No, yeah.
I still don't believe for sure that he's getting past 3. Like I still find that hard to believe. They're desperate for a quarterback, and those guys are desperate to keep their jobs. I still think that's in play. Like I still think that's possible. But I don't know. This thing's all over the place, and it's very. I don't know. It's just wild. Like the variance on quarterback 2 in a draft can be that wide. But yeah, I mean, look, I would be surprised by it. I like him. If you could get him at the end of the first round, I would feel much better about it, because I feel like you can miss on a pick there maybe, or just have an okay quarterback at that point, and you're okay with it. But I feel like everyone other than Cam Ward at 9 feels like a significant reach, and Dart would feel like a bigger reach to me than Sanders at 9. So like if you're going to take one, I hope they're taking Sanders at 9, but like I would much rather see them, if they're going to take a swing at a quarterback, take it at 40 or package 40 in one of those thirds to move back up in the first and get it at the end of the first round. But at 9, it just all feels way too rich to me. It's just not a good QB draft. It just isn't. And the worst thing I think you can do is force a pick. I'm of the belief of swinging at a quarterback, but I don't think you just swing to swing. I think you got to swing at the right guys and at the right value. And missing on a quarterback that's iffy at 9 while also passing up on a player that could help your depleted team, it just feels way, way too rich for me.
Okay, last one on Shedeur here, and you can be quick here, but like in your evaluation, because what we kind of boiled it down to is to whether or not you like Shedeur as a prospect. For us, the biggest thing is how long he holds on to the ball. In your film evaluation, do you think he was holding on the ball just because he knew he could and he could take sacks, but he could still try to extend and he wanted to make plays? Or is it a lack of processing? Because that's the biggest red flag to me. And the question becomes, was it a choice to hold on to that ball that long, or was it just a processing deficiency?
He looks like someone to me in the NFL, like he's going to have to figure out a way to win from the pocket consistently. And
yes.
I just don't know if that's how you play in the NFL anymore, is it? I mean, like 20 of the best quarterbacks in the league all have the ability to move. They got a little bit of juice in their legs, and offensive lines are getting worse and worse. And I think the quality of player coming into the NFL is just going to keep getting worse, and you can't practice anymore like the way you used to. So, I think quarterbacks have to be able to protect themselves a little bit, and that's just how the game has changed. You got to have like a truly, truly elite offensive line to be able to win with Jared Goff type quarterback. And I just don't, I don't see that juice in his legs. I just don't. Like when he takes off, it isn't really there. So yeah, I mean that's a concern for me. If I'm taking a guy top 10, like I got to see a little bit of that, and I don't know that I see it. I think as far as like, I think he played a style of football there because he knew he could a little bit. I think that stuff could speed up for sure. I think he's an incredibly smart player. Like he knows where he should go with the ball most of the time. I think he'll pick up an offense really, really fast. I think he's been trained to be, an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Probably since he was a very young man. So I don't think it's the processing thing. I think he knew he could get away with it, but the just to kind of reframe that a little bit. Yeah, I think he's somebody that has to win from the pocket, and I just think in general, like it's not a Shedeur Sanders thing. It's in general, like I don't think that's what I'm targeting if I'm spending significant capital to rebuild my team. I can go get a pocket passer with an average arm in free agency every year, and it's not going to cost me the number 9 pick. So it's just, that's the biggest hurdle for me. I think anything else, the lack of elite arm strength or anything like that, I think that can be overcome if you have that plus ability in your legs. But like I don't think he has a plus in either one, and it just doesn't add up for me at night.
So with that in mind, kind of you were talking about earlier, at 40, there could be multiple options available, and we know the Saints have worked out and hosted plenty of these guys. Who would be your dream quarterback at 40? Would you take a quarterback at 40?
Yeah, I would definitely take one at 40. I don't dream as a stretch.
I mean, who would you be like? Let's say they're all available, okay? Which is unrealistic, but let's just say that whoever you end up choosing for whatever reason ended up falling. Like the other guys got chosen. Like who would out of your Ewers, your Shuck, your Dart, Milrow?
Shuck or Dart for sure.
Okay.
Shuck or Dart for sure. Yeah, Shuck or Dart for sure. I think those two. And look, Shuck's age is definitely a concern, but at 40, if you can give me a league average quarterback on a rookie contract for a while, like that's fine. And their peaks are a little bit later. Obviously, I don't think you're looking at that guy as like your franchise quote unquote quarterback, but he can be a very good placeholder as you continue to look around. So that's probably where I go on that. I think his upside is probably I don't know. I mean, I might predict today, if I had to, that he's going to have a better NFL career than Dart. I mean, I just get more excited watching him. The arm angles and, he can make a play drifting to his left and throwing across his body around a defender, from a lowered platform. Like he just does everything. And if he wasn't, 43 years old or whatever he is, like you would be really excited watching him play football. But once you factor that in, the injury history, yeah, I mean, obviously, I think there's a lot of red flags there, but I think because of that, you can get a little bit more value out of that pick at 40. One thing I'll say to people, listening and wanting to decipher reporting, if there's a report on a prospect and there are 4 NFL teams listed in one report, that is not coming from a team. That is an agent putting out a report about their player.
So you're saying the Milrow story?
I mean, I think any story where it's like he visited the Jets and now he's going to meet with the Titans, Bengals, and Bills, and the meeting was great. I mean, the team isn't putting out information about somebody else. They aren't saying, "Oh, he met with us, now he's headed to the Jets." Like that isn't, that's somebody doing. Look, a lot of reporting gets done off of agents. They're great sources. They're incredibly knowledgeable, but they also have an agenda. And if you talk to any one of these agents for one of these quarterbacks, nobody else's client is going in the first round, and they're going to get everybody fired, and their client is the one that should go in the first round, and he's the savior of the organization. I mean, that's just, that's their job. That's what they're doing. And you got to build up some hype this time of year. But yeah, I mean, I won't overreact to stuff like that. Because most of the time that stuff is not like a team isn't going to put out a press release. Essentially, is what that is. When something gets reported, they're going to put out a press release that Milrow had a great meeting with the team, and then all this other stuff. So I take that with a grain of salt. But look, the thing to take from that is that they're around him and they're working him out and they're interested in him, at least to some degree, and that they're continuing to do the work on the quarterbacks. And he could be an option at some point if they took the time to go out there and work him out.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the 2 guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.